Welcome, NAIFA-New York members. This is Jennifer Maurer, your Executive Director, and we are here for our April video newsletter. And I am pleased and honored to have our president, Paul Shaka, here. Hi, Paul.
Hey Jen, how are you?
I am doing really well, thank you.
Good.
And we're both getting accustomed and adjusted to doing video news, trying to keep these as concise but incredibly important so that you get the news and information you need, knowing that emails and social channels get quite burdensome with all of the communications that are out there. So without further ado, we have quite a number of important things to talk about in terms of legislation and events. So I want to just give give you an opportunity to talk to the members about what's happened since our last newsletter. We're doing all kinds of meetings and events, and maybe you can encapsulate some of the highlights of what the chapter's been working on.
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, so a lot going on. So from the legislative front and the programs front. So from the legislative front, you guys have probably seen some positive news coming out of Albany with respect to DOL, the lawsuit being won. How that plays out downstream, not quite sure yet, but that remains to be seen. But we're still working with DFS actively, trying to get some relief and tone down Reg 187 specifically. And that's an ongoing thing. In fact, we've had a working group for probably close to a year now. We've been putting together proposals and thoughts to present to DFS at our next opportunity, hopefully soon. Speaking of Albany, I will, and the team will be going up to Albany in about, what is it, 2 weeks, Jen, right?
2 weeks, that's right.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll be spending our day on the Hill. We're going to be going up there. We're going to, meeting with the members of the legislature, hopefully, but no guarantee that we can grab somebody from DFS. But at the very least, we'll be, reacquainting ourselves with members of the legislature, with our outstanding lobbyists from Greenberg Traurig, Mike Murphy, and Eileen Hayes. Those two were instrumental in our success, frankly. They both have so many relationships on the Hill, and they're there with us to leverage those relationships and open a lot of doors to get conversations going. And that's really all we can hope for, is to get the conversation going, because that's half the battle right there. So that's an exciting thing. I'm looking forward to that. Following that, we're going to be heading down to DC for our congressional conference. And that's always a great time too, because kind of same dynamic. We're going to be meeting with members of the House and the Senate on Capitol Hill. We usually, in fact, I think Jen's got the screen up there, over 500 attendees, over 300 meetings. Members from all 50 states will be attending. So, that really shows the breadth and scope and the reach of NAIFA, right? No other organization has the reach that we do, with members and chapters in every capital in the nation. And that's a huge consideration for members of Congress when we go down there, that we do have a lot of reach. And frankly, that covers a lot of their constituents, and that's what they care about. So that's really great, But one other thing I want to just touch upon, we also had a really good success with 4228. You probably heard that
Yes,
mentioned a while. It's in that's looking to reduce, I guess, increased product availability is really the main gist there. So that was great. That addressed a lot of the issues that we brought to the table with respect to agents' compensation, and that's a huge thing for everybody, because one of the challenges we all have as agents advisors, whether it be the life side or the health side, and that's the next topic, is the ability to frankly, run your business profitably. And that's why we're trying to, tone down some of the onerous regs and rules and whatnot, and obviously the availability of products, that's where the rubber meets the road. So a lot going on in that respect.
Agreed. And on that note, I'm in a moment going to ask Paul to talk about the value of these personal relationships he
Yeah,
has with an assemblyman. But for members, please understand that, if you can't come to our legislative day, we also do August in district meetings where we ask members to go visit their local and federal representatives during a time in the summer when it's quieter and they have a one-on-one opportunity to talk either by Zoom or in
right.
person. And it's those personal relationships that really move the needle. And Paul, maybe you can speak to not only your relationships at DFS, but also with our elected leaders.
Absolutely. And yeah, that is where the rubber meets the road, because without those relationships, it's really hard to move the needle in any substantive way. So I've been doing this quite a while, both with NAIFA and with New York Life and in their Office of Government Affairs. So I have a lot of time doing this, and I've developed these relationships over the years, and to the point where a member of the assembly or the Senate in New York, or a member of the House or the Senate in Washington, you know, there's a recognition when we see each other. Or if I
Correct.
call, it's more likely I'll get put through to somebody. And what might not be the member of Congress or the assembly,
Sure.
but it might
Yep.
be a member of their staff who are just, if not more important sometimes. Um,
Correct.
it reminds me of a recent letter of thanks I received from a member of the assembly. And I say this because there was a letter that was typed out. It was, pretty nice. And it had, Mr. Paul Shaka, whatever, but he crossed out the Mr. Paul Shaka, and in highlighter or magic marker, he wrote Paul,
Paul.
and
Oh,
he wrote Steve at the bottom. That's his first name. And he's one of the members of the assembly that I have a particularly good relationship with. And it enables me to always have his ear. And that's I'm grateful for that.
it's huge. And that's a shout out to all of our, relatively new advisors. If you're new in the business in 5 years and you say, "Oh, I'm so scared. I
Yeah,
could never go do that." Lots of our members are coming. We have many non or new members coming to our legislative day for that very reason. They want to come out and visit and meet, and they want to learn how to do it because
right,
it'll not only improve you professionally, it'll help improve your business. It has impact so that you can tell your clients, "Oh yeah, I spoke with Senator Smith or Senator
right,
Jones and talked about these concerns you have on long-term care or finding affordable employee benefit programs or Medicare." And it's an ongoing circular discussion. And you could touch on our employee benefits cohort, which I'll bring up here in a moment.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, and that leads us to the employee benefits side of the house now. We've put together this cohort with a couple. We brought some new members in, and you can see them right here: Michael Payne, Vicky James, James Newhouse, and Meredith Langus. These guys are all accomplished agents, advisors in that space, and the healthcare world is really facing a lot of the same issues we on the life side face. With product availability, with compensation. I'm hearing, these guys tell me how they have clients, long-time clients trying, reaching out to them for help on this, that, and the other thing. And, they're basically working pro bono in a lot of cases. There's just no money,
That's right.
and, they've got to pay the bills, right? So this cohort that we've put together is made up of people in that space who are intimately traveled in that space. Now, additionally, I had the opportunity to meet an excellent estate plan attorney. I had a meeting with him last week in my office.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that Brian Tully of the Tully Group, outstanding practice and elder care, Medicaid planning, all that stuff related as it relates to an estate planning case. That's their sweet spot. So he has offered himself as a resource for us. If we need him as to speak or to bounce ideas or questions off of, he's well traveled in that space. So that's another thing I'm really looking forward to with this coming year.
Awesome. And that's a great segue for me just to point out for members that on our website and on our about page, there is a leadership development page here. You can always email us at the chapter, but if you are a health agent and would like to be a part of that cohort, you can use this online form and let us know your contact information. They are getting together May 6th to at our legislative day to put together kind of a holiday wish list of
Right.
if we could make your jobs perfect, and there is no perfect, but what are some of the top issues, regulatory issues that we can help address? And that will build upon our summer and fall programs with our lobby team, Greenberg Traurig, to begin addressing. As Eileen Hayes, as you know, Paul is in the health space specifically, so we're happy to have her on our team.
Right. Thank you. And also for everybody out there, whether it be our event, in Albany or in Washington, we encourage members to join us.
Yes,
Come down or
correct.
come up to Albany. If that's something that might interest you. We do have some stipends, right, Jen? We have some stipends left over to defray some of the costs. But it's a great experience. We'd love to obviously add to our team, right? So people that we can rely on and
Yep.
come to and tap on the shoulder if we need something. Also, we're expanding our committees, all of our committees, frankly, but mostly membership. That and legislative are the two, I think, most important ones. Membership is
Yep.
obviously everything, but so yeah, we're looking forward to seeing some of you guys in Albany and or Washington, and also to hopefully maybe have some participation within some of the work we do on the committee.
And that's a great
Yeah.
committee work. We have cohorts, we have work groups on long-term care, if that's an expertise, work groups on Reg 187, which is everyone in that space. But we do also have programs, and that's a good segue. We'll get into our programs
Well,
and membership.
before you do that, I just want to say two more things. One,
Go. Yeah.
I think sometimes a lot of people are concerned about managing their time as they run their business. Well, I can't, to dedicate time to something like this. You can dedicate as much or as little as you can.
That's
There's
right.
no, we're all in the same boat, right? We're
Yeah.
all running our businesses and we put time aside. Obviously, there's more commitment depending on what you're doing, but for somebody who might, in a committee or might want to jump on a call once every quarter or once a month, I think that's hopefully that's something everybody can manage. And also, to the point of relationships in Albany and or Washington, if anybody has a personal relationship with a member of Congress in Washington or a member of the Assembly
Yes.
or the Senate in Albany, please let us know, because as a constituent or a friend or what have you of one of these members, that is a really great way to break the ice, and that will be hugely beneficial. So,
And I'll add to that, we have a database that's held at NAIFA National in the government relations space. They do keep a relationship database. And a perfect case in point was the Federal Department of Labor changing the independent status. They called on that database. They called on all kinds of members that specifically had either an expertise or a level of relationship to get that conversation started. And it was the signature reason amongst many that we were able to open up doors and open up dialogue on a national level. So yeah, that's a great point. All you have to do is email me or email the association at jmauer@naifa.org and say, I have a relationship with so-and-so, and I'll take care of registering that for you. So
thank you.
So on that note, we'll just transition to programs. This for members. You can always find our programs online on our social channels, on our YouTube channels. But here under chapter events is where you will find our upcoming programs. And we do a NAIFA Live. NAIFA National does the third Thursday of every month, except for May because of Congressional Conference. And you can find information about that here or in your own member portal. We talked about having our legislative days May 6th. There is still time to register if you would plan to come that day. It says 8 to 3, but just to be of clarity, you might be out the door by 11 if your meetings with your state assemblymen and senators are in the morning. So we just give people that breadth of time to know that some meetings may be in the afternoon. And then we are putting together programs such as other events and get-togethers for our Elevate Your Game program, and I'll let Paul talk a little bit about that for the fall.
Yeah, so we're putting together, I guess it's the third annual, or is this the third or fourth?
Third, yep.
Yeah, so Elevate Your Game, we call it. And basically it's content that's relative and relatable for all of us within our business, regardless of what stage of our practice we're in. So we're scheduling one for I believe, is it mid-October, mid-October?
Mid-October. Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
Downstate, and then there's gonna be one upstate as well. So we'll have two. One of the headliners that we're gonna have there for the second year in a row, because he was so good, is Panos Leliadakos.
That's right.
And he's a ninja with AI. And he's a financial planner. He has his practice.
Yes,
it's
NAIFA member.
AI based. It's
Correct.
really incredible. And it's more than just throwing something in Chat GPT and or cleaning up an email. It's more than that. He gets a deep dive. It's an excellent presentation. He's worth the price of admission, frankly.
100%.
But we'll have some other speakers as well. Oftentimes we'll have estate planning attorneys, maybe some tax professionals where they would go through case studies, right?
Yes,
so
that's right.
And that's something else that we're gonna really try to focus a little bit more on this year and going forward, is some of those more advanced, the advanced content. I think that's something that all of us can benefit from.
Agreed. And I'm just showing here, folks, some photos of friends from some of our past events. It does say 2024, but these are kind of a mixture of 24 and 25. And, I would encourage everyone to always check back. We have a great programs committee. We're days away from finalizing. It's a gargantuan effort to finalize a hotel location, a speaker travel, and busy NAIFA people. But all in all, we'll have that program up and running. And then we just had a board meeting last week where we talked about doing some local, a brews and bites, kind of a local social hour together. And we'll have those hopefully somewhere in early summer and then definitely in the fall. And what I'm
nothing formal.
No, right? Just hang out. Come and hang out with folks. Yep.
Absolutely.
I used to call them eggs and issues, but apparently nobody wants to get together for coffee. They all want to get together for beer. Right, exactly. So I've been tasked to put those together, and we'll have I think we did it in 2023 at the Genesee Brewery in Rochester. So that's one of the first. But we will have those programs up and running. And again, everything you can find here at our website. And I guess I'll close off with a quick look at our blog section. Since we are doing our video newsletters, this is where you can find past videos and that are saved here. Although I'm realizing I need to get this one updated, but it's also on our YouTube channel. And so they're housed here for folks to find for more information. So
Jen, where will they see this conversation we're having?
This will get posted in our YouTube channel, but also here on our blog section here, and I'll post it there in that blog menu.
Will it be emailed to anybody, or is that not?
Yeah, we do it email every Wednesday, and now we also send a quick text message to folks because sometimes that's just an easier way to get for folks to communicate, to chat with. So on that note. we'll close out and
Yeah.
say it's just been one heck of a winter weather and a spring
Yeah.
weather. Y'all got to move to Arizona. Um, it has just been chaotic, but until then, I hope everybody gets schedules back on track and
Yep.
start making, more and more money and being prosperous. And we're looking forward to seeing some. I'll give Paul the last word, but we're looking forward to seeing everybody at some events so we can put faces to names.
Yeah. Thanks, Jen. Yeah, guys, thank you very much for all your support and the efforts you put forth. We really appreciate your membership. Couldn't do without you, and we look forward to doing good things going forward.
Awesome. Take care. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.